So, God says that I have given you the freedom of believing or disbelieving, whether you accept the revelation, you follow the guidance that is given for us, or reject the guidance and follow the path of wrongdoing, and then go to hell. And God says, even among you, there is no compulsion to believing or disbelieving God alone. But whoever believes God alone is going to be granted by God for the kingship, what he said. And so far, that is. And here in the verse 15, God gives an example of Abraham. He was so determined that he those idol worshippers that they know God bringing some from the dead.
I have another observation of this thing. It says in the first verse of that, there shall be no compulsion in religion. The truth is now distinguishable from falsehood. It seems as though with all the other scriptures, as true as they were in the beginning, and as distorted as they became, Quran is preserved in all of its desires completely preserved. And since the code has come, this is the current verse. The truth is now distinguishable from falsehood. Like the code, it verifies every single ayah in this book, every word, every letter, and so we don't have to guess. And I think it's like a forecast for the people of the before generations, and so now it's a symbol of victory. That's all.
Now in 257 I have an observation that God is the Lord of those who believe. He leads them out of the darkness into the light. In the darkness you don't feel a thing. But when God leads you out of the light, you see everything. And you can actually feel the difference. You can feel that you know. You just meet people who don't have the good portion of knowing or reading the Quran, and you see how ignorant they are. For example, the subject of death is coming up. They don't know what is going to happen, or what we are here for, where we're going, what is the purpose of our life. You just don't know. It's completely lost. And you see a person who's 65 years old, but you see that he has a baby for computer.
I think reminds also a repetition of the idea that we have a choice to weigh it, turning it right around, saying we don't have a choice. We're considering that to fail, that only the people who are supposed to get the position are do the law will be. You're saying it's up to him anyway. He's the one who needs responsibility.
Yeah, but that best, you have the freedom of choice in the new decision to believe or not to believe. That decision is absolutely free. Based on that decision, you are either guided or misguided, deliberately. So if you make a decision you don't have anything to do with God, the veil comes down. If you make a decision to believe in God, all circumstances will work out to direct you to the right path. Now the rest of the verse says, while those who disbelieve, their lords are their idols. They lead them out of the light into the darkness. Now we had a brother come here who was studying the issues that we have in this mosque, and he decided to take my translation and write comments on it. And he sat out there in the balcony and he took a big notebook and he wrote down his comments. and he had a plan to come on Friday, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, to debate the issue with me. He also went around the other mosques to talk to them and explore. And when he came across the Islamic Center, he told them, "Oh no, don't go back and debate the issue." Mujahid can tell us the story there. He was really determined to come and debate the issue. But they want him to stay in the dark. They're afraid that he may come across something that will open his eyes and make him see the truth or see the light. They don't want to debate, right? Mujahid? Wasn't Ahmed was determined to come and debate the issue? And we were ready the Friday before last. And then all of a sudden he became very silent. We convinced him not to talk to us, not to debate anything. Right.
Well, he was supposed to call me, and then he's never called me.
And Rashid and I have been trying for a few months now to have them set a time and a place and their own terms to go and debate the issue. So they want the people to stay in the dark. You don't want to discuss anything or look at anything. And some of them said we're afraid to make convinced. That's the funniest statement. But it's a true statement.
You will go without other than this. I ended up lying all come out. That's and Richard Bell that's he said he had the book that I think is going to come to this. Yeah. Yes, yes, thank you. He was just going to come to us, but he said he's going to give it to me. And said he's going to teach you that I
think we're gonna set a reward. That'll be the next step, Rashid. We're gonna have a reward for people who come and debate the issue. I don't know how we can encourage them to come and debate the issue. I want them to name the place, the time, their own term, and it just doesn't work. Maybe we set up a reward. But the verse here says that their lords are their idols, they lead them out of the light into the darkness. And certainly, discussing the issues is enlightenment. But if they want to keep them in the dark, they keep them in the dark. If they want to discuss and reveal everything. They're very important. I know you feel that you came out of the darkness into the light. These men are go to 259.
And the one passed by a church down who said, how could God divide this from death? God then put him to death for 100 years and resurrected him in life. How long could he wait? He said, 1 day or part of the day. He said, he'll be here for 100 years. Yes, look at the food and drink. It is not spoiled. And it's productive. He thus said to offer a message to the people. Look at the bones and see how it struck them and caused them to flesh. When you realize what has happened, he said, now I know that God is able to do anything. So, this tells us that God is never forced to follow scientific logic. And if he was to do that, he would say that, anybody who died because God would never be resurrected. Like it says here in God's given.
Okay.
Just a little bit off the subject. On this verse and next verse, it's is God talking directly to the person?
We don't even know if you mean speaking to him?
Yeah.
No.
God's
Some kind
dead.
of inspiration.
It's his inspiration.
Over inspiration.
How do we know that?
I do not know.
Well, I'm asking by the words. He knows it by the words. What's the
Because it's throughout the Quran, it says, he said, we don't know who's he said, who's he. We don't even know who's he.
So, I mean,
It could be an angel, it could be anything. So it doesn't say God said.
What about the things that you do?
It's the word Qala, he said,
yeah.
it doesn't have the same definite meaning in Arabic as it does in English. So that's why that's what he said, that's what it doesn't necessarily mean God. And you can get from the verse that it is some kind of inspiration.
I think how
When God speaks,
in the English though that you have here, you've got in one sentence, God then put him to death for 100 years, then resurrected him and asked. That's implying God asked.
Yeah, it seems like a direct address to the original God.
There are many ways of delivering the question. Oh yeah, that's to Abraham. But he didn't speak to Abraham. We know God did not speak to Abraham. See, when God spoke to Moses, the Quran makes a big issue out of it throughout the Quran. So when God speaks to someone, it's a big thing, and it has to be mentioned specifically. So God speaking to Abraham, even when Muhammad was taken to the seventh heaven, God did not speak to him. It is mentioned specifically that he was inspired.
Maybe he spoke to them or not.
Yeah, what's the big deal? It doesn't mention this.
Well, speaking can be all different. Speaking can be speaking can necessarily, doesn't necessarily mean with a tongue. Like you say, here it implies that Allah was speaking to him in this translation.
What?
No, I think it's a big deal. Maybe
We just had a big discussion about
the
it.
way we read the Quran and so how we're interpreting it and what we're saying. Maybe we question things we don't need to be questioning, or maybe we're taking a lot more out of something than we should because of the way the English is.
No, but that's a legitimate question. The same question is applicable to Arabic. However, it is not important, really isn't. The important issue here is death and resurrection. How long is it between death and resurrection? Huh? Yeah, but he told us. Allah Alam, and he told us. He said the period between death and resurrection is 1 night. When you die, you open your eyes the next morning, and it's the day of resurrection. Even if it was 1,000,000 years. You were dead for millions of years. Remember? How long was it? See, we all experienced death already. We know how it feels like. We know how long it takes. We know how aware we are of the world's affairs. Remember Napoleon Bonaparte? You were there, but you were dead. And when you die the second death, there are 2 deaths and 2 lives. When you die the second death, you're going to miss the President of the United States in the year 2088. It has to be divisible by 4. And you don't care. You don't care either. Okay, looking at the... now, why do we have this verse in the Quran? What is the lesson that we derive from that? that 100 years pass like one day or part of the day. And in Surah 18, we learn that 309 years pass like one day or part of the day. Therefore, the concept of time disappears. 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever is left of your life, that's how long you have until the day of judgment. No, before you know it, it's going to be here. Before you know it, you'll be on the day of judgment. That's really when your rank is decided for eternity.
I think also just what I'm saying is that the day of judgment is really not really. No, I hope I don't confuse the issue.
This actually that sounds like a blink of an eye.
Yeah. But, this is very important, especially if you discuss with other people, like as a Christian. The Christians and others, and some Muslims say, let's suppose a man lives 5,000 years. It's before judgment. Suppose that the end of the world is the year 2000. What was happening to him? It's interesting. What was happening to him those 7,000 years? It seems to make sense. And so people have to invent limbo or a kind of purgatory where people are all placed like in a big wastebasket. When somebody dies, Allah puts him in a wastebasket. Yeah. Another one dies. And all the thousands of years pass, he collects them, and then he judges all of them. I think this is a very wrong way of looking at it, right? Because if we follow the Quran, we must not use our time dimension. Before Allah, time is not the same. This already shows. We must not look at the day of resurrection in terms of our earthly time dimension. That is, it has been emphasized in our group. Before Allah, resurrection has already taken place, and people already have gone to heaven and have gone to hell. Alright? But to us, we are stuck to our material world. We are thinking of those who died 5,000 years, and maybe those who live the next so many thousand years. But from another point of view, if the resurrection is like one night or like the blink of an eye after our death, then we don't ask anymore the question, what happened to those who have been alive and who have died 5,000 years ago? Quran says very clearly, and the other religions also say, that the final judgment of the last hour is for everyone. It seems to be inconsistent with the fact that people died in different centuries. But not the way the Quran explains it. Quran assumes, it is one final judgment, one final hour, and yet, between the time of our death and that, is like the blink of an eye and so on. And I think that's the meaning of the verse, that it is nearer than what we think it is. Because for many people, especially the Christians, they say, well, I'll die now, and suppose the world will still exist for 20,000 years, I will be in limbo for 20,000 years. That's what the Quran is false. But no, the Quran says no, it's nearer. And so people are expecting for it anytime. Now Christ himself said that the hour is near at hand. And people were waiting. Near 1,000, everybody thought it's going to be the last judgment. And you wait, near 2,000, everybody will wait for it. Because you see, near in the sense of years. And I think here the Quran is very clear. It tries to show the relativity of time between me and our ancestors, and we and our future descendants, and the time between our life now and the year hereafter. But the way the Quran explains it, I think all the difficulties
are done. And we need not ask the question anymore. From the time we die, at the last hour, how many thousands of years it will take place? And I think Islam is the only religion that has given this answer. As far as I know, my studies of comparative religion. I don't know how it will take it.
But then also, I just want to ask that also. But then versus the computer speaks still how many more years is that? Before they get it?
Right, but as far as Lucas said, and the people who died a long time ago, between death and resurrection, there is no time. That's one night. So people, us, we sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up, die, wake up. So there's no difference at all between sleeping and dying. In fact, people don't know that they die. John Kennedy doesn't know he died. You know, yeah.
What I mean to say is that people get you know, people have
Yeah.
when they scream themselves, they come back and forth and go forward.
Right.
Very close to
Where is that? Oh, I know. It's just playing, so I don't think it's a good idea.
Of course not. It's a fraud.
I hope not, anyway.
They make money from that.
They have to be clinically judged for it, right?
Well,
Pardon?
well, there was another example.
There's a number of rich people who have their bodies frozen because this is what Andrew is talking about. They are waiting for scientific advances that we have that can solve this disease or cure this disease. And one of these big firms had a power breakdown where all the bodies fall, and the relatives were suing the firm for that. But speaking of the times I mentioned Jim was talking about, actually you can do it right here in this world. If you go on a spaceship, ride the rocket, and go outside the Earth's atmosphere, it's not like 50 miles from here. Then there's no night, there's no day, there's no hour, there's no time. Unless you want to use your heart like a clock or something. Heartbeat. But as soon as you leave, the reason we have night and day here is that the sun is now on the other side of the Earth and we are in the shade. But if you leave the planet Earth, there's no time.
Just to add something to that, relativity physics teaches that a clock, okay? The length of a second is not fixed. It depends on the speed that it's going. And the old analogy is if somebody 27 years old and he could go close to the speed of light for 50 years and then come back to the earth, it would be thousands of years later. So the idea of the common sense idea of time just being duration, being something fixed.
That's the theory of relativity.
And it's confirmed by the old occult doctrines and the Quran.
We have only 26 minutes.
We're not going that far.
Yeah, time is something that we made up. But people don't know that they die. There are many examples of people who were involved in accidents, they painted, and they, when they came to it, they could have been dead, just nothing, they came back. So, it doesn't matter what kind of death people die, they don't know how they die. There's nothing, one thing that you have to try to do. Person goes in the operating table and he goes in and he's anesthetized. When he either dies or comes back. But if he dies, he doesn't know. And when he opens his eyes, the day of resurrection, and he looks for the doctors to ask him, was the operation successful? And they tell him, oh, this is the day of judgment, sir. Hey, wait a minute. What happened to my kid? And it's gonna gonna be a funny day. It's only funny for the believers. It's not funny for the disbelievers. It's gonna be a shocker for the disbelievers.
Well, yeah. I feel like, okay, just not looking at things, so, okay, like the person who's doing all ready to do, and then they wake up. I'm imagining that if it's the reason, okay, it's Quran, then they already know, being the baby, the students Quran, or they should know exactly the angel told to say, I don't know when they put all this and stuff or whatever, on the day of judgment, we say, if you're believing. We're welcoming you, okay? But what I'm thinking, also.
No, but you're talking about the angels to communicate the Lamb and all this after you were resurrected.
That's what I'm talking about. If they died on the day when they were resurrected, they were the reason. Okay, and what I'm saying is, like, we know, we have an idea what it's going to be like on the day of resurrection. But then we also fear God also. And I was just wondering, would we know, but then to be afraid and forget? I mean,
no, your question is, do the believers know that they died? That's the question?
No.
Okay.
It's just that I was wondering if they're going to be so, right, if they're still going to be, so afraid of a lot. Because still we don't know if we're believers or not, even though we feel or think we know.
When you read Testament, are we going to be assured that they're going to heaven?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, when you open your eyes, you know that you're going to.
No, no. It will be in there as well.
So when you look at your sight.
Yeah, what?
Sight.
You do something big as the water, you say, uh-oh. Okay. So in other words, if the angel comes to them, this day you've been waiting for,
right,
then you know right away when you go have.
When you are resurrected, the moment you are resurrected, you know if you are the people of heaven or the people of hell.
But then too, is the Assalamu alaikum and then the record, or you know what I'm saying? Did you get the record first and Assalamu alaikum or what?
No, the record will be in your neck. I mean, not literally. Everybody's record will be tied to your neck. I mean, this is just the point. Now you'll have your record ready.
Okay, because I'm thinking of the first that sits around and tells you, give you some type of idea whether or not you're going to heaven or hell when you get back in your right hand, and then behind your back.
So this is all symbolic. But if you look up Surah 17, it will tell you about that. Surah 17, the number is 13. Page 188. Verse 13. Under the subtitle, the video record. So we have the record of every human being tied to his neck. Then, on the day of resurrection, you will give him a record that you will find accessible. Read your record. Today, you suffice as record for yourself. So you be the judge of the world. So that record that you will find, the video record of your life from birth to death, will explain to you why you are this to this. Just to find yourself there. So that record will simply explain to you why.
Okay, then so in that other verse is just